I think I have to meet the girls halfway because a lot of them don't want to read because they're not on their reading level. So if I feel like if we're able to read it like maybe paragraph by paragraph or chapter by chapter in the room and then have a discussion, then they will have a proper understanding of why reading is fundamental. Mm-hmm. And that's not like they don't want to read. It's like some of them are not on their level. They're embarrassed to read. Mm-hmm. So if I'm able to implement something that, okay, we're going to all read together. And if, we'll do popcorn. You'll read a paragraph or read a few sentences, but we're going to all be able to get through the book together instead of, letting them go home and like read this chapter and come back and we'll discuss it. So it's much more easier if we read it in the classroom and if somebody has a question, we could discuss it throughout the book.
Flossie! Flossie! The sound of Big Mama's voice floated past the cabins in Sophie's quarters, round the smokehouse, behind the chicken coop, all the way down to Flossie Finley. Flossie tucked away her straw doll in a hollow log, then hurried to answer her grandmother's call.
Here I am, Big Mom.
Flossie said after catching her breath. It was hot, hotter than a usual Tennessee August day. Big Mama stopped sorting peaches and wiped her hands and face with her apron. Take these to Miss Viola over to the McCutcheon place, she said, reaching behind her, handing Flossie a basket of fresh eggs. Seemed like they'd been troubled by a fox. Miss Viola's chickens be so scared they can't even now lay a stone. Big Mama clicked her teeth and shook her head. Why come
Mr. J.W. can't catch the fox with his doll?
Flossie asked, putting a peach in her apron pocket to eat later.
How do a fox look like?
Flossie asked.
I just remember every seeing one.
Big Mama had to think a bit. Child, a fox be just a fox, but one thing for sure, that rascal loves eggs. He'll do most anything to get at some eggs. Flossie tucked the basket under her arm and started on her way. Don't tarry now, Big Mama called, and be particular about them eggs.
Yes, Mom.
Flossie answered. The way through the woods was shorter and cooler than the road route under the open sun. What if I come upon a fox, Flossie thought. Oh well, a fox just be a fox. That ain't so scary. As far as other activities you guys do, because you do like other activities, whether it's arts and crafts, whether it's something that's creative arts like photography over the summertime, in what ways does that engage the girls in a different, I guess, level of literacy?
I feel like because art gives them more freedom, and you're not literally telling them what you have to do, and there's like not words on the page. And since with the camera and outside is like a blank canvas in a way, it's like, I want you to take a picture, but take it at an angle where you feel like this is considered beautiful to you, or take it at an angle where you feel like it will speak to somebody else. So adding, the photography for the summer, I feel like the girls were able to express themselves more than actually just sitting in the classroom and reading the book and discussing it. It was more hands-on, and they were able to go outside instead of staying in a room.
That's perfect. Flossie commenced to skip along when she come upon a critter she couldn't recollect ever seeing. He was sitting inside the road like he was expecting somebody. Flossie skipped right up to him and nodded a greeting the way she'd been taught to.
Top of the morning to you, little missy.
The critter replied.
And what's your name?
I'll be Flossie Finley.
She answered with a proper curtsy.
I reckon I don't know who you'll be either.
Slowly the animal circled around Flossie.
I am a fox.
He announced, all the time eyeing the basket of eggs. He stopped in front of Flossie, smiled as best a fox can, and bowed.
At your service.
Flossie rocked back on her heels and up on her toes, back and forward, carefully studying the creature who was claiming to be a fox.
Nope,
she said at last.
I just purely don't believe it.
You don't believe what?
Fox asked, looking away from the basket of eggs for the first time.
I don't believe you're a fox. That's what.
Fox's eyes flashed anger. Then he chuckled softly.
My dear child,
he said, sounding right disgusted.
Of course I'm a fox. A little girl, would you be simply terrified of me? Whatever you teach children these days.
Flossie tossed her head in the air.
Well, whatever you are, so you'll think a heap of yourself,
she said and skipped away. Fox looked shocked.
Wait,
he called.
you mean you're not frightened of me, not just a bit?
Flossie stopped. Then she turned and said,
I ain't never seen a fox before, so why should I be scared of you? I don't even now know you a real fox for a fact.
Fox pulled himself tall. He cleared his throat.
Are you saying I must offer proof that I am a fox before you will be frightened of me?
That's what I'm just saying.
Little Flossie skipped on through the piney woods while that fox fellow rushed away looking for whatever he needed to prove he was what he really said he was. Meanwhile, Flossie stopped to rest side a tree. Suddenly, Fox was beside her.
See, I have proof.
He said,
See, I have thick, luxurious fur. Feel it for yourself.
Fox leaned over for Flossie to rub his back.
Feel like a rabbit fur to me.
She said to Fox.
Shucks, you ain't no fox, you a rabbit. All the time you trying to fool me.
Me? A rabbit?
He shouted.
I have you know, my reputation precedes me. I am in the third generation of foxes who are outsmarted and outrun Mr. G.W. McClinton's fine hunting dogs. I have raided some of the best hen houses for flagrants of Madison. Rabbits, indeed, I am a fox, and you will act accordingly.
Flossie hopped to her feet. She put her free hand on her hip and patted her foot.
Unless you can show me you a fox, I'm not accord you nothing.
And without further ceremony, she skipped away. Down the road a piece, Flossie stopped by a bubbly spring. She knelt to get a drink of water. Fox came up to her and said,
I have a long pointy nose. See, that should be proof enough.
That don't prove a thing to me.
Flossie picked some wildflowers.
Come to think of it,
She said matter of fact.
rats got long pointy nose.
She snapped her fingers.
That's it, you're a rat trying to pass yourself off as a fox.
That near bell took Fox's breath away.
I beg your pardon?
He gasped.
You can beg all you want.
Flossie said, skipping on down the road.
That still don't mean you no fox.
I'll teach you a thing or two, young lady.
Fox called after her.
You just wait and see.
Before long, Flossie came to a clearing. A large orange tabby was sunning on a tree stump.
Hi, pretty kitty.
The girl said and rubbed the cat behind her ears. Meanwhile, Fox slipped from behind a clump of bushes.
Since you won't believe me when I tell you I'm a fox,
He said stiffly.
perhaps you'll believe me that I'm a feline creature, toward whom you have measure of respect.
Flossie looked at the cat and winked her eye.
He sure used the hippo words.
She whispered. Fox beckoned for Cat to speak up. Cat jumped to a nearby log and yawned and stretched. Then she answered, "This is a fox because he has sharp claws and yellow eyes," she purred. Fox seemed satisfied, but Flossie looked at the cat. She looked at the fox, then once more at both just to be sure. She said,
All due respect to Miss Cat, but both of y'all got sharp claws and yellow eyes, so that don't prove nothing. Keeping both of y'all be cats.
Fox went to howling and running around in circles. He was plump beside himself.
I am a fox and I know it.
He shouted.
This is absurd.
No call for you to use that kind of language.
Flossie said, and she skipped away.
One of them made the connection with Little Red Riding Hood.
Mhm.
She was like, "Oh, it sounds very familiar to Little Red Riding Hood."
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I didn't think they made the connection with color and stuff like that, and with the policies and system and whatnot. They didn't make the connection until I started asking them more questions and whatnot, and then they made a little connection with how Black females need to be very aware of their surrounding. I can't remember.
Wait!
Fox said, pleading.
I just remembered something. It might be the solution to this horrible situation.
Good, it's about time.
I have a bushy tail. That's right.
Fox seemed to perk up.
All foxes are known for having fluffy, bushy tails. That's got to be absolutely poof.
Ain't got to be. You got a bushy tail, so do squirrels.
Flossie pointed to one overhead, leaping from branch to branch in the treetops.
Here, have a bite of a peach.
She said, offering Fox the first bite of her treat. But Fox was crying like a natural-born baby.
No!
He sobbed.
I promise you, Faye Fox. Won't that do?
Flossie shook her head no. How much do you think it's important, or not important, but relevant for black girls or black women to have to outsmart people in order to navigate certain systems?
I think it's very important in order to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like not a lot of people probably think that black females are capable of doing that.
Oh, woe is me.
Fox hollered.
I may never recover my confidence.
Flossie didn't stop walking.
That's just what I've been saying. You've been all confident. Come telling me you was a fox. Then can't prove it. Shame on you.
Long about that time, Flossie and the fox came out of the woods. Flossie cupped her hands over her eyes and caught sight of McCutcheon quarters in Miss Viola's cabin. Fox didn't notice a thing. He just followed behind Flossie, begging to be believed.
Give me one last chance.
He pleaded. Flossie turned on her heels.
Okay, but just this once more.
Fox tried not to whimper, but his voice was really unsteady-like.
I have sharp teeth and I can run exceedingly fast.
He waited for Flossie to say something. Slowly, the girl rocked from heel to toe, back and forward.
You know,
She finally said, smiling.
I don't make much difference what I think anymore.
What?
Fox said.
Why?
'Cause there's one of Mr. J.W. McCutcheon hounds behind you. He got sharp teeth and can run fast too. And by the way, that hound looking it all over for you.
With a quick glance back, Fox dashed toward the woods.
The hound knows who I am,
He shouted.
but I am not worried. I sure I can outsmart and outrun Mr. J.W. McClellan miserable months any time of the day. Because like I told you, I'm a fox.
I know.
Said Flossie.
I know.
And she turned toward Miss Viola's with the basket of eggs safely tucked under her arm. The end.
Woo! See?
In the story, we talked about what the fox represented. A lot of the girls felt like the fox felt like the media in a way. Some felt like, well, some of my girls were like, oh, it could be a boy, and how like sometimes boys would try to outsmart girls or feel like boys are smarter than girls.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them really like pinpointed what the media thought about black girls, of how they can be loud,
Mm-hmm.
or some feel like, girls are not as smart. Black women are not as smart as their counterparts, like, white women, white girls.